Welcome to the Royal Daily Tea YouTube channel. Please be advised all of my videos are for entertainment purposes only, based 100% on my own opinion, my own theories, and my own research. All of my information can be found on the public domain and falls under the fair use guidelines. Please feel free to do your own research. Hi everyone, it's Michelle and welcome back to the Royal Daily Tea. So today we're going to talk about the 5th installment of Meghan Markle's podcast Archetype, where they talk about decoding the word crazy, how women are labeled hysterical and crazy, and how it's just this horrible thing that is holding women back. Now I have to be honest, out of all of her podcasts, this is probably the most boring podcast in my opinion. It deals with a very deep subject matter of women who have become so down in the dumps that they wanted to possibly do self-harm. Now, I'm not bagging on anyone who has these horrible thoughts. I think mental health is a real thing, and I just want to make it clear I'm not making fun of anybody who's ever thought of hurting themselves the way these women have talked about. But to be honest with you, it was not uplifting. There was nothing groundbreaking. She made some references to ancient Greek. You know, the word hysteria dates back to ancient Greek and it was used to diminish women's credibility. Okay, well, I mean, we've all been crazy a time or two, or hysterical a time or two. But again, relating to 2022, I didn't feel like the people she was interviewing really brought that home to me. They were just telling their stories about having a bad time in their life and how they overcame it. But again, I didn't know who these people were. They weren't interesting. It wasn't groundbreaking. It was an okay show. It wasn't something I think is going to be in the top 20. Again, I think she's starting to lose a little bit of her star power. But in my opinion, she missed a huge opportunity to talk about a real women's issue, the women of Iran, who are literally being murdered in the streets for not wearing their hijab properly. Okay? Women are cutting off their hair. They're fighting against the police. They're unarmed. It is a huge thing right now. And she wants to talk about, I was called a diva by Mariah Carey. Oh my God, people call women hysterical and crazy. Like, are these the topics that are perplexing women in 2022 when you got women in Iran fighting for their freedom? And this is the episode she's going to put out? Okay. Now, we know that Meghan Markle likes to play the victim, and she's literally going through the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and falling on a letter and picking a word out of the hat and throwing in some C-level guest to put together this little podcast to prove her, you know, little feminist point here that kind of fell flat, let's be honest. So back when Harry and Meghan were living in the palace, Meghan tells the story, how she told on Oprah, how she, as a pregnant Duchess, had these deep, dark thoughts herself, wanted to possibly harm herself like his mummy did when she was pregnant with Prince William. And she tells her husband, she runs to HR, and HR says, sorry, sweetheart, can't do it. It looks bad, so slap on some lipstick, put on a sparkly dress, and go to the circus. Okay? We don't got time for you, sis. Deal with it. Well, first of all, this never happened. This was another one of Meghan's porky pie lies, where she was trying to paint the narrative of nobody in the palace would help me. The little biracial Duchess was all by herself. And her little hapless husband was embarrassed that his wife needed help and he didn't know what to do with himself, so he went in the corner and started counting the little hairs he had left on his head because he didn't know how to handle a pregnant Duchess who wanted to hurt herself. Now, does anyone for half a second actually believe that Meghan Markle would go to an HR department of the palace? Did she even know where HR was located? This is a woman who, before she was even engaged to Harry, told a senior advisor, I know you don't care about girlfriends, but I think you and I both know that one day I'm going to be your boss. Do you think when she's at her lowest point, her most vulnerable point, she's going to share a deeply personal moment? I'm pregnant and I'm going to hurt myself. Let me go walk to HR and go talk to some little clerk who's working there and tell her I need help. Do you really think she's going to go to HR for that kind of help? When her husband himself is in counseling, or her mother herself works in mental health, but she's going to go to HR staff? I mean, I think we all know how she feels about staff. The woman felt everyone was beneath her. Royals have no business at all ever going to HR. It's not like they're on the payroll and they're like, hey, did you get my PTO request? Am I going to get my day off, y'all? I mean, I put in my PTO. Did I get my overtime? Y'all want to give me my W-2? Where's my paycheck? Royalty has nothing to do with HR. HR is for staff. Meghan is not staff. She's made it abundantly clear she ain't staff, folks. She's above staff. She's royalty. That's why when they had the bullying allegations come out, they didn't know what to do because royalty was bullying staff. You know, they had policies in place to deal with staff. They didn't have any clue what to do with royalty because royalty is above staff. They've never had to deal with this before. That's why they changed their HR policies to protect the staff, because they never had a royalty family member bullying so many people the way that both Harry and Meghan were bullying the staff. So much so that Jason Knopf had to write that email, and he's like, we got a problem here. This is above my pay grade. I don't know how to fix it, right? So Meghan isn't going to go to HR for help. And then she let it slip in the podcast that Harry gave her a referral to a friend to go get counseling, and she caught the counselor when the counselor was checking out, beep, 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 at the grocery store, and she could hear the little beeps, and the woman was like, oh, who is this? So which is it, Meghan? Did you go to HR or did Harry give you a referral to get the mental health? Because your stories aren't adding up here. So a lot of people who spoke with Valentine Lowe in his book, you know, the Royal Courtiers, they also felt like Meghan made up that story because she never once could produce a name of a person. Who's the person in HR that you spoke to who denied a pregnant Duchess help when she said she wanted to, quote, hurt herself when she was pregnant? It never happened. There's no record of it. She never could produce the name. But they believe that she wanted this to be part of the narrative, that nobody helped her, that she got no help, she got no Duchess training, and no one certainly helped her when she was going to hurt herself. Now, they have photos of the night in question where Harry and Meghan attended the Cirque du Soleil event, which Meghan said on the Oprah Winfrey interview was the night that she told Harry she was having problems and she was having these really dark, disturbing thoughts, where Harry said, quote, I was embarrassed because I didn't know what to do with my wife who wanted to hurt herself. Remember that one? They go to the circus. But if you look at their body language, Harry looks like he's pissed at Meghan. He's annoyed with his wife. He doesn't look like a concerned husband who's worried about his pregnant wife. You know, if he's so concerned of his wife becoming his mother and doing the things that his mummy did, like throwing herself down the stairs, then why don't you just say, hey guys, we can't make the event tonight. We got a personal emergency. We're not going to go to this event. It was literally the Cirque du Soleil. Do you think they really needed to go to that event if she was having those types of thoughts? But no, she puts on a party dress and some lipstick, and they go out and they smile and they do that weird body language PDA that they always do. Meghan's got the claw out, but Harry looks perturbed with his pregnant wife. He doesn't look like, oh, let me put my arm around you. I'm so worried about you. I love you. We're going to get through this, Megsy. I'm going to get some help for you. No, he looks perturbed. He looks like he's annoyed with her, and she's just doing her usual clinging. So if she really was having these thoughts, guys, they would not have gone to that event. He certainly would have acted like that, and they definitely would not have gone to HR. So that whole story that she talked about on Oprah was another lie, trying to create the narrative that nobody helped her. So on this podcast episode, now she's saying that Harry gave her a referral to get help. So it just seems kind of weird how all of a sudden Harry could produce a phone number out of the hat to help his wife, but when she initially told him, he was embarrassed and she runs down the hall to HR. Like, come on, guys. Does anyone buy that story? To me, she just outed herself for being a liar once again. And that story with the HR person that no one can verify never happened. That's my personal opinion. Meghan, again, playing the part of the poor Duchess, and she's still using her podcast to play upon the sympathies of people. So does anyone believe the story at all that the palace would not help a pregnant Duchess at her lowest level? Now look, I know we all deal with social media, we all have depression, we all have dark days, and I'm sure Meghan had some moments where life was tough. I will give her that. I mean, the media attention she has, I will give her. Being a creator, I have a very small audience. I've had my moments where people can be mean, they can be cruel, but one thing you learn about dealing with social media and the public is you start to get a thick skin. Now when people say things to me, I go, ha ha, good one, block, it's over. Do you know what I mean? So I know Meghan, who is a professional, who has been in the industry for 20 years, has a pretty thick skin. You know, we all know that Meghan Markle is a woman who loves herself. There's nothing wrong with having confidence. There's nothing wrong with having self-love. But Meghan Markle, in my opinion, likes herself way too much to ever hurt herself. I'm not saying she hasn't had a moment where she's down in the dumps. We've all gotten there. You really think that Meghan sits at home and cries over headlines? Honestly, this is a woman who walked down the aisle by herself in front of millions of people with the look like the cat who swallowed the canary. She worked for 2 years on that man baby. Come on, Harry, stand up, sit up, put the ring on my finger. Let's get the baby out, the heir and the spare. Mama's little dividends, honey. She's got to put that to work. That's her future. That is her retirement. It took her 2 years to get to the altar. She wasn't going to mess that up. And then when the future king of England says, honey, I'll walk you down the aisle, she's like, can you show up halfway? Because this is my moment, sir. Okay? It's all about me. Poor little Doria got to ride with her to the church, and then she was like, hit the road, sweetheart. This is my show. Her mother couldn't even get out of the car with her. Why didn't her mom walk her down the aisle? Because it was the Meghan show, okay? This is a woman who loves herself, who loves attention, whether it's good or bad. So trying to tell me that she sits up at night and cries because people said some bad things about her, I don't buy it. I think she's thick-skinned, but she pretends to be a victim, okay? Because she wants to control it, but I don't think she sits there and she's really bothered by it. Because again, if you watch her, that's a very confident woman. She's so confident that when she goes places, she pushes Harry out of the way and pushes herself in front. That is not a shrieking wallflower. She is no shy die. This is not a woman who says the man, user 5674534 said I was awful and she's going to go cry in a corner. She's thick-skinned. She don't care. Good or bad, as long as you're talking about her, it doesn't matter. It equals dollar signs to her. Okay? This is a woman who has worked for 4.5 years to get this moment where she's on the cover of magazines. She now has a podcast. They're going to be in a docu-series. Harry's coming out with a book, and then she's going to have a book. This is literally her narcissistic wet dream come true. 4.5 years in the making. This is not a shrieking violet. This is a woman since 2018 has been planning this moment. For 4.5 years, she's been planning it. And she needed it to go a certain way, so she had to have the narrative of the victim. Just like the people at the palace said, they felt like they were played, that no matter what they did, she was never going to be happy because she never wanted to be happy. She wanted to come up with, I was all by myself, I was a victim. Harry, let's go. I still don't believe that Harry ever planned to leave the royal family. I know a lot of people have said he was miserable. Yeah, he was miserable because he was number 2. Harry grew up knowing he was never going to be number 1. His brother knew that he was just going to go higher and higher, and Harry was going to go lower and lower, much like his Uncle Andrew, and put out to pasture. He was a little nervous because William knew his path. William knew his destiny. He's going to be king. But Harry felt like he had a very short shelf life. He wanted to make an impact. It was important for him to be important, to be relevant, to make an impact. And he wanted to find a life partner, much like William had found Kate. In my opinion, Harry was very jealous of William and Kate. He wanted to have the same kind of relationship that William and Kate had. If you watch the engagement and review, Harry talks about bringing someone into the royal fold who could take on the royal family and the royal responsibilities. He did not have any intention of leaving the royal family at that point. Now, granted, he was a spoiled, petulant prince, and yes, he was very paranoid, and he treated his staff a certain way before he even met Meghan. That's already been documented. She just played upon his weaknesses and his paranoias and convinced him she was his mother 2.0. So when she came in and played the narrative of, oh my God, they're mean to me, oh my God, they're racist, oh my God, I'm scared for my life, and she started to act like his mother, he started to freak out, and she convinced him, hey, you're never going to be important here. You're never going to be past number 5 or 6, but if we go to Hollywood, they're going to be eating out of our hands. We're going to be Hollywood royalty. We're going to be number 1 over there in Hollywood, and we can literally write our own checks. People are going to line up and throw money at us because we're royalty. So he bought the pipe dream and realized, I'm never going to get my way with the palace. Harry's not going to be heard or seen above Charles and William. It's just not going to happen. And my wife's being mistreated. She's miserable. She has all these connections. So we're just going to skip over to Hollywood and everything's going to be roses. But he also thought he was going to be a part-time royal. He thought he could have his cake and eat it too, and the Queen said no. So I never believe, in my personal opinion, that Harry and Meghan really wanted to leave 100%. It just kind of happened that way. They kind of overplayed their hand, and now they're trying to inch back with that whole year of reconciliation, right? But again, Meghan outed herself with yet another lie. So what do you guys think? Do you believe the story that Meghan told about her being told no when she asked for mental health help from the HR department of the palace? And what do you think about Meghan's podcast? Do you think it's going to continue to rank in the top 25? You think it's going to be a success? And do you believe that Meghan kind of convinced Harry to leave the royal family? Or do you believe they both wanted to leave the royal family? Leave me your comments, guys, down below. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Please be sure to check me out on all of my social media accounts. If you don't know, I do have a Patreon membership. It's only $3 a month. There I'm going to share more personalized videos with you, so if you'd like to check it out, the link is in the bio. As always, guys, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.